So good morning, everyone. Welcome to October 27th podcast. It is not actually April 14th for those of you who got the first invitation. We're getting there. Anyway, it just shows you that you are not alone being people who are facing challenges. All right? We are all in our own way walking that path. Okay, so the question today is an add-on to last week's topic, and that is, right now, are you in a place where despite many, many attempts, you just can't seem to get started? Is that true for you? All right. An important aspect of that experience to consider is how long have you been feeling that frustration and that lethargy? How long? Because remember what we said 2 podcasts ago. Whatever you do repeatedly, and even if that's be overwhelmed, that's what you habituate. All right. Habituation is the key, a key to moving forward. So if you can start to habituate small, tiny baby steps, you're on the path to where you want to go. You can build on that. You can expand, all right, the number of things, the ways that you can move forward. So as a little exercise right now, everybody, if you're feeling like, why can't I just get started? Why is it so difficult? I want you to think right now of one small thing that you don't really want to do, but that you have done. Think of one thing. And while you're thinking of that, now I want you to expand your perspective of that, the way you're looking at it, and ask yourself, what is unique, special, or different about that particular activity? No matter how small, no matter how insignificant it feels. What is special or different from the other things that you're looking at that are hounding you, frankly, that are making you judge yourself harshly, feel defeated, feel like, come on, what is wrong with me that I can't? What is different about that one small thing that you can move forward on? What did you do yesterday or earlier today that you thought, I know for me, while I was making breakfast, the last thing I wanted to do was wrap that cheese up, all right, and put it back in the fridge. I wanted to leave it in the Glad bag on the counter. And I thought, yeah, because today you need one more thing to come back to, right? And so it's the small little things, because here's the secret. If there is a secret, here's the secret. It doesn't start here with your hands. It starts here with what you tell yourself. This is where it starts. If this doesn't change, these can't change. All right? Because we are all connected. So let's drill down on this. Go back to how long have you been feeling this frustrated and lethargic? Because that's a hint. The longer, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not flawed or broken or defective or inadequate or any word you're using for yourself that beats you up. That's not who you are. That's not what this is about. And this is not what you're doing. All right, so stop it. Stop the beating yourself up. But the reason I asked how long have you been feeling that frustrated and lethargic is because back to habituation. The longer you've been doing that, the steeper the hill you're going to have to climb. I want you to think of it this way. So the steeper the hill that you have to climb means the more supporting, unnecessary, unwanted values, beliefs, fears, behaviors. It's like that hill, you actually want to dig all the supports out from under that hill and flatten the road. I want you to have that image when it's hard to get up and start. That basically, if you keep climbing that hill and that's all you do, and we all have to climb a hill. I really didn't want to put that cheese away today. I really didn't want to put that bag in the garbage. I really didn't want to put my dishes in the dishwasher. I just wanted to leave them where they were. All right. However, I've habituated. Really, Elaine, that's your best choice? Really? Because today you want to be cleaning up after yesterday or earlier today. That means you're moving backwards. That's what I tell myself. Do you really want to move backwards today, cleaning up after what you've done? And I've habituated, come on, just do it now. It never get easier. All right? And that has become enough for me. Now, maybe in the beginning, it was a steep hill. So while you are walking a steeper hill than you really are comfortable with, trying to get up and get started, the other thing you have to work on is up here. What are you telling yourself? How are you making this okay? And that work is clearing out the supports for this steep hill so that you level the path you have to walk. It isn't a big deal anymore for me. All right, I make myself either before I go to bed or the first thing in the morning, before I come in and sit down and start meeting my people that day, or do anything else other than eat and cuddle the dogs. All right? I make myself do around, where were you last night? Did you put everything away? All right? And that's what I've habituated. I'm no better than you are. I'm no different than you are. I've cleared away some of the things that I could tell myself instead that would make it okay. Oh, you're tired. Oh, you're busy. Oh, this is far more important. No. What I left undone last night, as I was cuddling the dogs and watching television at the very end of the day, if I left anything there, that's more important, because I will only encounter it today, tomorrow, blah, 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 as I move forward. So today doesn't belong to me. If I'm still cleaning up after, and this could be anything. This could be finishing a project. This could be writing a letter. This could be making a phone call to somebody who you're feeling like, oh, I want to or I should reach out. Could be anything, any task. So let's take a little test. All right? All right. How are you feeling right now, having come to this podcast about feeling that you are stuck? How are you feeling? Does it feel good? Does it feel, meh, so what? Had nothing better to do than to sit and listen to Elaine today? Or does it feel, no, you know what? I really want to get a grasp on this. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of what other people get to say to me that I don't really feel I legitimately can defend myself, or what I'm concerned other people would think that I can't legitimately defend myself, or how I'm beating myself up, how every day I just start with, about myself. Come on, guys. This is not insurmountable. Second question. How does it bother you? In what ways does it bother you when you don't get started on that project or that next part of the plan that is looming out in front of you, reminding you it's unfinished, nagging you, okay? Calling the voices on the committee, particularly the critics. You know the committee we talked about? Those people who gather in your head on the tape and say, well, she always was messy. Well, he never did finish anything. Well, there you go again. All right, all those negative voices. And there's always at least one critic. You ever notice that? There's always one guy on the voice tape who's going to take cheap shots because they were perfect, right? So stop looking at yourself. Don't waste your time looking at them. They got their needs met by making themselves feel better than they probably were, by taking cheap shots and undermining other people. You're going to listen to that voice? That was a no-win situation. So if you're listening to that voice and you're listening to it so much that you voiced over what they've said, what they've done, the feedback they've given you, the support or lack of support, if you're going to actually listen to that, there's no point. It probably wasn't true then. It certainly couldn't have been true about them, that they were perfect. Stop listening to that. Stop saying that to yourself. All right? There's always one in every crowd. Does it bother you? Are you one of those people that it does bother? Because some people are bothered by that, but some people develop a strategy, a way of setting boundaries and limits for themselves that it doesn't bother them. All right, so this problem is twofold. If you're in that first camp, A, there are undone things that need to be done or that you really want to get done. And the second part of that is you're beating yourself up and undermining yourself by what you're saying to yourself, the voices that you're listening to, the messages from the past. All right? Because other people, they also have undone things they're going to get to, but they're not beating themselves up. They're setting a realistic plan that they actually have the steam in the tank to carry out. Are you doing that? Or are you one of those people who's overly optimistic about how long something will take to complete? Yep. Oh, I don't have to do that now. Oh, I can do that in 2 hours. 3 days later, you're still working at it because you looked at it with wishful thinking eyes. The best way to estimate how long a job is going to take is to double or triple the time you think it will take. All right? That's one of the best ways to start. And then check in with reality. Okay, so I thought that was a 2-hour job. It's day 3 and I'm still at it. What did I not see or what did I misjudge? Learn from that. Stop doing that. Because way back, I think it was 2 podcasts ago, I told you the first fundamental thing about habituating the behaviors you want to habituate is end the last episode on a success. I know that's true for my puppies when I'm trying to train them, and it isn't any different from me when I'm trying to train myself, and it isn't any different from you. All right? So, do you continually underestimate how long it'll take? Now, if you do that, you basically probably are on one of two paths when you make that mistake. It's a mistake. No other way to say it. All right? You forge through, you persevere, you exhaust yourself, and you end up with, I hope I don't have to do that again for a long time. I'm just like, all right? Do you really realistically think that the next time anything like that has to be done, you're going to get up and volunteer? I would worry about you if you did that. Okay? That is not realistic. That is just not the way human beings are made. All right? You are not Superman or Superwoman. You have the same fundamental natural responses as most other people. So you're exhausted, you're depleted, but you did do it. It'll be a long time before that's good advice. A long, 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 long time, if ever. While you're getting started, while you're getting good at this, while you're trying to climb that hill, while you dig it out and try to flatten it so that it's not onerous every time you start, break it down. Break it down, all right? Because if you didn't finish it and you're not half dead, physically and mentally, emotionally, all right, then you're on the other path. And the other path says you didn't finish it. You didn't finish it, but here's the key. You went into it with the belief and the commitment that you were going to finish it. You had an unrealistic expectation here. How's that going to feel? You've set yourself up for self-punishment and self-judgment, dissatisfaction. Okay? You think you're going to go back to that? Do you think you're going to go back and finish that? If you do, you better have a pile load more energy, or something that I don't know the formula for, to actually volunteer to go back and finish that when you came away feeling defeated, not satisfied with the progress you made. Do you remember in Jane Burka and Lenora Ewan's book, Procrastination, they talked about the growth mindset versus the fixed mindset? If a lot of people here, and I would want you to send me a message in the chat. Yep, I'm one of those people who underestimates the time it will take. And then I do complete it, I'm half dead. Or there are so many things that get partially done and then they're left. I don't pick it up and finish it later. I just can't face it. All right? Let me know that. We can do a major review of growth mindset and fixed mindset. That's another really, really important stepping stone. Okay? So, if this repeatedly happens to you, and it's not about underestimating the time it will take you to finish a job, one of the other ways to deke out and distract yourself, because it would be a very natural response if it really doesn't feel good. Here we are again. You know that nameless feeling. All right. So, are you one of those people who uses social distractions to delay starting? to the point that you're actually postponing, but you feel noble about it. Or Netflix has become your best friend. Do you have a social relationship with a particular program? Okay. So when you are unrealistically overconfident that some magical day and time, no specific plan in place, all right, no personal accountability for the realistic nature of it, do you believe that, no, I'm really busy. This is a higher priority. New priorities keep getting lobbed in. All right. And so, oh no, well, I can't not do that because this person needs this, or this feels like change my plan all over the place. All right. And there's no personal accountability. You don't actually say to yourself, didn't I write down in my notes from the podcast, one thing finished was worth 10 things started? Didn't I write that down? Didn't that sound like wisdom? Funny the contradiction that my mind went, yeah, that's something we need to listen to and incorporate. And now I'm doing the old thing again. All right? Okay, personal accountability. Personal accountability. At least as a first step, challenge yourself to what the heck am I doing here? And can it be a surprise that I'm back here again? Don't bother beating yourself up. Don't judge yourself. Forget the personal inadequacy. Forget that. That's absolutely useless to you. And it is true. But neither is the other true. So if you are perpetually in that loop, you find yourself in front of the TV, or gaming is another big one. All right. Ask yourself 3 questions. What do I need? Where is it? And how do I get enough of it to make a difference? And does this activity give me those 3 things? If the answer is a clear no, that distracting yourself socially, making gaming a social activity, TV, Netflix, whatever that activity is, shopping online, going onto the Buy Nothing group, when there's really nothing you have to give and nothing that you actually forethought in a considered way you needed. All right. If you're doing that, then stop and ask yourself, what would be the worst thing that would happen if I succeeded? What would be so bad if I didn't 100% complete this and I felt that I failed because I had perfectionistic standards that I never can reach? Clearly, I'm the failure, not the plan. Really? Really? The other thing, the third thing I want to ask yourself, because we're going to do a podcast, a complete podcast on each one of these topics. And I think we're going to find 98% of us are in one of those categories when we allow ourselves to be defeated in this way. The third thing is, nobody's going to tell me what to do. All right, I'm an adult. And so that should voice in my head, that is in my own voice, that meets my need. I that is part of the need I identify. It actually meets it. It's right there in front of me, doing a 15-minute completion, growth mindset versus fixed mindset. Nobody's going to tell me what to do. I had to do jobs as a kid, and that's history. This is your life. These are your things. This is your need. These are your standards, hopefully. Fear of success, fear of failure, fear of being controlled. The other thing about controlled can be too, if we have a belief that we should always be improving, all right, that getting to this level and living at this level for as long as we want to, we should always be trying harder and improving. You'd be surprised the number of people who have that in the back of their mind. And when you have that belief, there's a fourth one that's kind of a little sneaky and hides in the corners, and that is, when I do that, finish this job,
then I only just have to keep.
What more will I expect of myself? What more will the committee expect? So if I succeed reasonably, how am I going to top that one? If you're one of those people, you tend to be maybe a little bit competitive. Nothing wrong with being competitive, unless you're using it as a stick to defeat yourself, to make yourself afraid, or to beat yourself up. I have news for you. You were born worthy, and you're worthy now. On your best day, on your worst day. You're worthy. You're worthy of love. You're worthy of respect. Even if yesterday you were a complete screw up, pardon the vernacular, all right? Even if not one thing went right yesterday or recently, that does not define you. On your worst day, when you're 100% wrong, in the wrong, you are worthy of being treated with respect and compassion. So for heaven's sakes, do it to yourself. Charity begins at home. All right? Forgive yourself. If things didn't go well, forgive yourself. Now, that does not mean give up and accept. Okay, I'm going to forgive myself, and so I'm going to sit here. What else is on Netflix? Oh, gaming is another thing. Oh, I wonder those pop-up ads. Oh, that looks neat. Even though in the back of your head, your voice is saying, not a good idea, not a good idea. We don't need anything. Yeah, but I think I'll just look. All right? It does not mean that. It's not black and white. Okay, so is there a way that you could conceive of approaching the undone priorities differently? Take a minute. Take a minute. We've talked about unrealistic time expectations. We've talked about unrealistic expectations of yourself as far as energy. So time, energy. And the other thing too is, if it's a plan and it's a project, what about resources? Not everything is a one-man job. Not everything. The other thing too is, if I had a nickel for every person over the last 20 years who told me this, I would be a rich woman. All right, and that is, why is it always easier if I'm not alone? Even if they're not helping, even if they're just sitting there talking to me, why is that? because we're social beings, because we do a whole lot better in the company of others. Now, thank heavens for Zoom. Hold on, people. I have to find who's not muted. Got it. Okay, there we go. Okay, Braden. Erase that one. Clean that one up. All right, back to. What do you think? What device do you have? You're on it right now, so this is not a tough question. Okay. What resources do you have right now that you can bring somebody into your environment on a portable device? Could be your phone, could be a laptop, could be a tablet, could be a computer. I have mine on a turntable. I can turn it 360 degrees. And while you're working at something, say, what do you think? Here are my criteria for something to be a 1, 2, 3. Here are my criteria for something to be a 7, 8, 9, 10. No, I'm not really interested in your opinion. You're here just as company. Yeah, no, you don't get a vote. All right. Here are my criteria for something to be a 4, 5, 6. Now, I'm going to tell you when I pick this up what ideas are occurring to me about the importance of this. And if you hear me not respecting my own criteria, I want you to speak up and say, how does that fit again? All right. Okay. Bring somebody into your environment. Get a clutter buddy. Preferably not someone who's a bossy boots. All right. Bring them into, and don't be alone. Don't be alone. Okay. When you chose, this is sort of one more little point about this, all right, because I want to undo the mystery of it magically happens. Magically one day, or not even magically, I don't even mean that sarcastically, I just mean for reasons that I don't understand and can't foresee, there will be a day when I will be able to get up and it will just feel good to start. Somebody call me. All right, if that ever happens on a job you really aren't looking forward to, for heaven's sakes, call me and tell me what medication you're on, because that is not. We all will take a quart of whatever you're on, because you know what? That is not realistic. It's not. Neither does it have to be a drudge. So just to dispel that myth that when you handle the fear of success, fear of failure, fear of being controlled, some other thing that is getting in the way, all right, distracting through excessive social endeavors, misjudging the amount of time running out, ending on a failure, all of those things we've talked about. I want you to think of it this way, all right? When you chose your best friend or your life partner, did you move forward with that relationship by just bumping into each other enough times that it stuck? Did you? Or did you make and keep plans? Did you make and keep plans? There are consequences that happen as a result of any one of those 4 questions that I asked you. And here are the consequences. You may already be experiencing and now have one more small ball to keep in the air or to get rid of, okay? Habits are one of those things. You may be already in a situation where you feel irritated. You're blaming yourself. Self-doubt. Hold on a second, people. I have to find somebody who is not muted here. All right, sorry. There's noise in the background somewhere. Okay, sorry, Braden. Okay, clean that one up. Self-doubt. Are you blaming yourself and feeling badly? Do you believe that because you haven't been able to follow through on getting started often enough, okay, that you dread the next time you have to get started, that others or you are a legitimate candidate for self-condemnation? Do you? Well, you know what? It's true. So you know what? I earned that badge. No, you didn't earn that badge. And I want you to think every time you do that, it is so misguided. It is so counterproductive. It is so illegitimate to do that, that you've just put another 10-pound boulder in your backpack. Now try getting up. It's not going to happen. Remember, we are all, myself included, and you know that by the invitation that first went out this morning, we are all flawed, imperfect human beings, just trying to do our best. But for heaven's sakes, if you're really serious about it, get a plan. Get a plan and work your plan without distraction. Because when you don't, when it goes on long enough, you've missed severely important deadlines. You have missed all kinds of things that may not be retrievable. All right? How many times have you had to dig yourself out of the hole of being discouraged, almost to the point of, and this word I hear every single day, overwhelmed. And so what you're doing when you're overwhelmed, remember this, is you're sending exactly the wrong hormones and chemicals, juice to your brain, to the executive function part of your brain that makes the plan and helps you work the plan. So every time you do that, you give into that loop of, oh, I'm so, you know it. You don't even have to say a word. It's, all right. You know it. You know it. What's your version of it? Where do you feel that first, and stop it at the first sensation so it doesn't get to here. By the time it gets to here and it has registered, you're loading the overwhelmedness of you. Another ball in the air to try to keep track of. How many balls can we keep in the air? Huh? Because we are the architects of them. We are the architects of those balls in the air, those boulders in our backpack. Nobody's doing that to us. All right? Nobody is doing that to us. Outwardly, many individuals, so when you look around and you see people who are, they look like they have it all. They look like, oh, I wish I could be like them. I wish I could have their life. Many, many, many people, most people, in fact, individuals look just fine. While the project or the plan, not so much. Not so much. All right? And it nags at you, doesn't it? Don't you have to put blinders on not to see it? Well, when you put blinders on, you block out the good as well as the bad. You know that joy, fun, and play you were looking for today? It's somewhere on the other side of those blinders. It drains you of energy and motivation. Isn't that true? Now try getting off the couch. And that energy and motivation is exactly what you need to get started. So let me just move on to when that has happened often enough. This doesn't have to be an ongoing thing, okay? But when that has happened often enough, ask yourself, has that habit of self-defeat or self-doubt or letting yourself get habitually overwhelmed and you can't control what happens to you. You can influence it, but you can't control it. The secret is catch it way, way, way upstream before it's a big boulder. When it's just sand in our life, we can deal with sand. We can't deal with the boulders coming down the hill. And we sure can't deal with them with blinders on. All right? Respect yourself. Be gentle with yourself. That's the only way you are going to feel worthy and self-forgiving enough to keep making the effort that will get you there. Otherwise, there is a tendency to self-sabotage in anticipation of defeat or more overwhelmed setback, which we are the architects of. Self-sabotage can look like a good option, can feel like a good option. Don't get yourself caught in that loop. Go back in the podcasts that are on record on hoarding.ca and listen to whichever ones are speaking to what you're feeling right now. Heaven knows there's enough of them. They're free of charge. Better than Netflix. Netflix is a fantasy. Netflix is a fantasy. Okay? So, all right. All else fails. If you can't figure out what to do to undo this cycle, if you're really at that point, okay, no problem. Just stop doing what you're doing. Just stop doing what you're doing. All right? Okay, when I did that the last time, that didn't work out so well. Stop doing it. I don't know what to do instead. Stay there. Take a deep breath. This would be a good time to look for joy, fun, and play now that you got the blinders off. All right? Right now, where is there? That's where I was in the story in the book that is true. I'm driving to work and I'm thinking, oh, somebody up there, anybody on my side, for heaven's sakes, send me something, please, to get me through this miserable day. All right? And me calling it a miserable day was only a tiny, tiny, tiny bit untrue. It didn't have to be. It was going to be miserable. It was a miserable period. It didn't have to be as miserable, maybe by an inch, of the way I anticipated it. And what that did was it opened my blind spot to misery, overwhelmed. I got to get through it. It opened the blind spot just enough that what was always there, I could see and recognize. Nothing magical happened. Nothing new happened. The thing that gave me the boost that was like, wow, all right, is there for every single one of us. And this is true for the joy you're looking for. Open the blind spot. What would be the worst thing that could happen if you did succeed? Write it down. Write it down, because it will be true for you. Might not be true for anybody else here, but it will be true for you. What would be the worst thing that would happen if you did succeed? People might expect more of you. You might expect more of yourself, and you know what? You're half dead with what you're trying to do. How's that going to work? You don't have to worry about that. Tomorrow will take care of itself. Worry about today. One thing finished is better than 10 things started. Fear of failure. I'm going to try, and you know what? It's just going to be a repeat of not good enough. First thing you do is you turn the voices off on the committee. Okay, my daughter's method is na 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 na. It works. It's not the most sophisticated. You don't need a master's degree to come up with that strategy. It works. Who knew? Who knew? The kid was wise. All right. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Not listening. Not listening. Okay. These aren't sophisticated answers, some of them. They're pretty basic to human nature. And you know what? Whatever tried to control you before, whatever, and I'm not doubting for 1 minute that there has been abuse, there's been neglect, there has been poor parenting, there has been a lot of stuff go on. All right? I don't doubt that. We're all in that boat to some extent. We are all in some way, particularly if we're women. Slightly less so if we're men. Slightly less so. Not a lot less, but slightly less, the stats say. All right? Okay. That's the past. The best revenge is to survive and live well. The best revenge is to survive and live well. Revenge isn't a great word, but you know what? That was then. Today doesn't belong to then. All right, it's like my granddaughter said, I swear I'm going to get that t-shirt out and wear it. I kept saying to her, don't look back. Don't look back. You'll trip over yourself. She got me a t-shirt that said, don't look back. You aren't going that way. You aren't going that way. All right? You don't look back. You aren't going that way. What you're looking for is out in front. Focus on that. Okay. So, we're going to start with some homework, but it's easy homework. I want everybody to go back to the podcast on healthy boundaries and limits. And I want you to listen to that series. I think there are 2 or 3 in that series. Healthy boundaries and limits. Because you can't do out there, outside of yourself, what you can't do in here. You can't do that. You can't count on that. Even if you can do it, you can't count on that. It starts with you. It starts with you understanding what your needs are. And even if they're not needs that you're terribly proud of, if they are your needs, then that's who you and what you are today. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next year with work. All right, but that's who you are today. Take care of the little kid inside. Take care of the little kid, the little person, that little part of you who's your little person inside. Reassure them. You're the adult, you're in charge, and you're going to find the way out of this. Take them by the hand. Today's okay. We're safe. And I'm going to help us find our way out of this. All right? Starts with healthy boundaries and limits for yourself, and then for others. And better to set a healthy boundary and limit badly than not to set it at all. Got that? It doesn't have to be a textbook boundary and limit where the other person's hackles don't go up at all. The other person is responsible for their own reactions, so long as there isn't abuse or physical violence. All right? Okay. On your part. As part of setting a boundary and limit. Okay, that's kind of going too far. Okay. So, What would you say? Last week I asked you to write down what the most nagging problem was for you. I asked you to write that down. Think of what it was, or if you've got your paper in front of you. All right. Remind yourself, what is the most nagging problem you have right now that's bothering you the most? Now, get those pens out. Get those pens out. Take a second. Just take a second. Take a deep breath. Write down one, and I'm talking small, one small step that you know you can act on to move forward with that problem. What is one small step? One small step. Doesn't have to be the solution. It's only one small step in the right direction that you believe leads out of this problem. Maybe it could also be go back and listen. And don't just listen. Really chew on that podcast material about boundaries and limits. Really chew on it. Make it apply. How does that apply to me? Look, the theory's great. The theory's out there. It's great. It's solid. And you know what? A lot of this has come from expert people other than myself. All right? Good ideas are solid. They keep coming up. They may be expressed differently, but they're solid. Healthy boundaries and limits first for you that you set for yourself, and then that you set for others. Within that guideline, what is one small step that you know you can act? You know you could do it. You know those things. All right, you don't have to test it. Pick it. We did say small. All right, now, after this podcast, get up and do that one small step. We did say small. One small step. Because what I don't want to see happen with the people that are part of this community, all right? I don't want to see that it's just an exercise in taking notes and listening and thinking about it, contemplating. All right? Contemplating. The reason that I do this podcast, and I do it for free, and it will remain free, is because I want people to get the help they need when they need it, in the way they need it, not just when they can afford it, but when they need it. And so I make an effort on your behalf. Now I want you to make an effort on your own behalf. There's contemplation and reflection. There's application to me as an individual. How does this fit for me? The theory. How does that fit for me? Well, this fit not so much. I don't even know what she's talking about there. But okay, I've got a scope on how this applies to me in my life. And then I need to make a plan. All right. I need to make sure that the plan respects how much energy I have, that I get the right tools and resources. And tools would be whatever tools you need, all right, to do the job, screwdrivers, whatever, doesn't matter. Resources might be, why is it always easier when I'm not alone? And so I get a friend to volunteer to sign up for Zoom that's free, and we set a schedule. We're going to get together, and then I'm going to figure out what I can do to reciprocate something that they might benefit them. Maybe I make them muffins and I send them over. It doesn't have to be the same thing. And then, guess what, guys? Then there's action. Then there's action. Imperfect action regularly, because what we do the most is what we habituate. And what we habituate is the thing that turns the hill from being like that to being like that we can walk it. We can walk it on our best day. We can walk it on our worst day. We can walk it when we're skipping. We can walk it when we're limping. Those are the key components. Okay, so let's spend a few minutes. Let's look at the chat box. All right.
Yes, you can.
We have no chats. My goodness, I must have been scintillating today. Oh, Elaine, you're very welcome. It says you're incredibly kind for doing these weekly Zoom, and you know what? I enjoy them. I enjoy meeting with you guys. I enjoy this community is wonderful. Okay, there's Alina, 84 degrees Fahrenheit, sunny in southern Florida, because we all needed to know that in the northern hemisphere as the weather moved in. Thank you, Alina. That's 27 degrees Celsius. Yeah, we don't get that, do we, Joseph? Heidi, yeah, it's killing me. Yeah, it's killing me too. The entire summer, yes. Okay, we've got a lot of weather things here. Oh, well done, Heidi. I cleaned the area near the modem because I needed the space. Great start. Move out from there as you're able. Okay, difficult to let it go. It is difficult. It is difficult. So ask yourself, not everything that you have to decide about has to be let go of. Is it a 1, 2, 3? And if it's a 1, 2, 3, I can't imagine life without it. All right, then it stays, but it stays in a permanent place in your home. Where is its permanent place? Hold it, close your eyes, and ask yourself, if I was looking for you, where would be the first place I'd look? And that is its permanent place, because that is where you will always look for it first. And if you go to put it there and you can't put it away, so long as you are not creating a fire hazard or a tripping hazard or a health hazard, it goes as close to that permanent place as possible. Because when we get around to that space, dealing with that space, we can resolve it then. But it's good enough right now. Okay? Okay. If it's a 7, 8, 9, 10, bite the bullet. I did that this week. So when my sister passed, at the end of May, there were some things she wanted me to have. And so, of course, in the moment, I took them. Well, now it's the end of May, June, July, August, September, 5 months, okay? And I came across one of them day before yesterday. And I thought, that is so not me. That is so not me. I have no practical use for it, and I have no need for it. It doesn't meet, what are my needs? What do I need? Where is it? It's not this thing. All right. And how do I get enough of it? I need the space for other things that I do need. And so with love, I put it in a bag and I sent it to donation. Do you think that I didn't have a few heebie-jeebies as I'm thinking, gosh, she wanted me to have it? A lot of thoughts came in. Oh, you know, it was Nan's. And then I thought, you know what? Really, truly, This isn't Nan.
Yes.
All right, this is no part of her. This was a wish, misguided. And somebody else will really appreciate this. So I let it go. All right, nobody said it was easy. But if in your heart of hearts you know what, this is not something I need. And I need my space for other things that I really love and I really need, let it go. It will find the right owner. Picked up the garbage off my desk. Way you go, Anish. Woot, woot. Woot, woot. Leslie, you said it. There is no later. Yeah. There is no just for now. That's like the checks in the mail and another saying I don't want to say. So yeah, there is no just for now. Okay. Joseph, hands can't act and what the mind can't conceive of.
Yes, you can.
And make a plan for,
Yes, you can.
a viable plan.
You can do it.
Heidi says, I feel desperate. That's why I'm here. Can I suggest that you start, if you're desperate, the first thing I want you to do is take a deep breath. All right. The second thing I want you to do is scan your environment for the safety corridor. That is absolutely free, clear access from the front door to your back exit, even if it is a balcony. All right. There has to be absolutely free, clear access. Let's aim for 36 inches wide. All right. Nothing to step on, nothing to step over, nothing to have to move out of the way. Absolutely free, clear access from that egress route, that exit, your entrance to your electrical panel. We're talking absolutely clear access because if there was ever an emergency, that's where they have to go first. All right. Then your heat source. If your heat around your heat source, try that there is never anything combustible. Well, there is never anything, let's just say anything, within 3 feet. Now, sometimes the furnace, the hot water tank is close to the wall, but if it's close to the wall, almost certainly it was put there under guidelines that meant that whatever's behind it is not combustible.
Yes, you can.
All right. So, and the other thing I ask people is you don't plan an emergency, and an emergency occurs usually at a very inconvenient time. All right. And
Yes, you can.
keep your stairs clear.
You said
Be able to get out of bed, solidly put your feet on the floor, not trip over anything or have a little nanny goat trail. All right. Move the stuff back if you have to. If you can't solve it, move it back. Give yourself the path out to the door, into the hall, down the stairs. That's to the basement if there is one, or if you've got a 2-floor place, from the top floor to the ground floor. Absolutely free and clear, so that if the lights went out, the place was full of smoke, the alarm bells were going off, your adrenaline sounded like a car horn in your head, you could find your way out. No obstacles. All right. Lori. I've been this way all my life, or as long as I can remember. That's Lori. Lori, the past is dealable. All right. The future is buildable. Stay with us. Keep working it. Go back and listen to the podcasts. All right. Keep coming back.
yes, you can. Yes,
I feel inspired to start. Good.
you can do it.
Okay.
You set your mind to.
Carrie says it's lovely to see so many actual faces today. Yes.
You can.
Time blindness. Yes, Leslie. That,
You can do it.
and so Jane Burke and Lenora Ewan also talked in their book Procrastination about wishful thinking time and clock time.
Just
All right.
yourself.
Go back and listen. Go back and listen. And listen to the series on procrastination as well. Joseph, what is the source of all disappointment? expectations. Yeah. And so what I'm going to say to that, though, Joseph, is if having a plan is some level of expectation, manage the plan. Manage the plan, manage the expectations. If you overestimated or underestimated, adapt as needed, because you're not the same person every single day. Time blindness. That would be me. Yeah. Oh, I see we have a few people here. I'm the master avoider. That's okay. I overestimate all the time. That is very, 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 very common. And so I'm curious, I don't know that this is a fact, but just Anish saying that makes me wonder whether there are some other life circumstances, like rushing would be one of those things, all right? Sort of rushing in your mind, where your brain is going very, very fast because you're a bright, clever person. You may also have ADD or ADHD. That doesn't change your intelligence level, all right? It doesn't dictate it either, but it does kind of create an environment where there's an internal tempo happening that you can't keep up with, all right? And so maybe that causes people to underestimate the time, to think that they can actually move faster than they can think. If you've got any level of ADD or ADHD, it just cannot be so, because your brain is going like a well-tuned engine, but it's going much faster with taking in all kinds of data, all kinds of perceptions. It's not haphazard necessarily. You have like instantaneous perception, but all of that's trying to get into the same wheelhouse. All right? And so you can't possibly move as fast as you can think. So if anybody's ever said you have ADD or ADHD, you know you're underestimating. All right? You know you are. All right? Double it, triple it, and then get up and do it. I feel so dejected by the disappointment of the mess and my inability to even get started. I always postpone and distract. Well, I hope today that some of what we've talked about and reviewing some of the other podcasts and chewing down on it, it isn't enough to hear it. You need to take those concepts and apply them to you as an individual. Make them work for you in your own way. Okay. I use the iPad and I'm lost. I know. I had to break a habit of needing to finish solitaire on a win. Can happen to anybody. All right. Couldn't go to bed until I finished solitaire on a win. Consequently, I always wanted to be at the beginner level. So sometimes you just have to face it down. Sometimes you just have to face it down. Doesn't matter who you are or what you're dealing with. All right, we are flawed, imperfect human beings. We're not broken and damaged. That's not who we are. Flawed and imperfect is not broken and damaged. It means we just haven't figured it out yet. And part of that may be because you're not accepting who and what you are and making the most of it. Instead of that, you're looking at the deficits. Every single one of us here, myself included, has a light side and a shadow side. The things that we do well and the things, like sending out messages electronically. That could be one of them. All right. And life goes on. We have people like San who will send us an email to say, I don't know if you realize. And I went, what? And I looked at the screen and I thought, there has to be material beyond what I can see on this screen. And we solved the problem. You're never alone. Okay. All right. New priorities always win out. Here's a test, Carrie. If you're subject to interloping new priorities that get locked in, all right, and distract you. I want you to do this. See, oh, I can't do that. Hold on. Do page. Okay? All right. Here's the trick. This has to be a flash thing because I don't know if there's nobody. There. That's the only name. So I'll put my finger over that one. Okay. See this? This is my to-do page. And so this isn't today's to-do page. This is, I start here and I will prioritize it. It's an A, a B, or a C. An A means it has to be done today. Now, not everything has to be done today, even though I think of it today and remember it today. B is, it's coming up and there is a deadline looming. It isn't today, but I can't let that too far out. All right. And C is, it has to be done. But you know what? When it goes, what about me? What about me? I'll do it then. But it's important to remember it. It's not every little thing. But here, Carrie, unless something happens today that is legitimately an A, it gets added down here and on the back. Okay? And I work in order. Unless something truly happens today, like being able to make a phone call to a community resource center because they may have some money that they can spare to help that 93-year-old vet. That just became an A. Okay? Not everything though. Work it in order so that, yep, it's on the list. It's been prioritized ABC or 1, 2, 3, but it happens in order. Not until I get this done, which is an A, do I start on the B's. Do I start on the C's? And as things come in, they are chronological. That'll help you keep things from screaming at you. No, what about me? What about me? What about me? All right. Okay. Yes. When I feel myself stuck, I know it's time to thank you. To apply the 3 questions. What do I need? Where is it? And how do I get enough of it to make a difference? Enough of it. If I treated my friends like I treat myself, I wouldn't have any friends. Well, gotta stop that. Okay. Good. Anybody? All right. Let me have a look here. Is there anything else that we need? There we go. I think we're pretty good here. Okay. I will see you next week. Now, next week is what? Hold on. Next week may be, if it's the 3rd, is it the 3rd next week? Is it the 3rd?
Yes.
Okay. So next week may be if there is one next week, it will be pre-recorded because I've been moved up for my eye surgery. Woot, woot. Woot, woot, which is good. And it's only an outpatient 1-day thing, so I'm not going to be laid up. But I think it's probably better for me to prepare and pre-record like I did one time before than to break the cycle and try to get everybody confused. Okay, so next week, for sure, there will be one, but it will be a pre-recorded one, building on this material. Okay? You take care, everybody. I'll see you in 2 weeks. You'll see me sort of in a week. Take care. Bye.